The All-American Rejects. Say the name, and for a lot of us, it brings back a certain vibe, a specific moment in time. And maybe it's that thrill of hearing Swing Swing, a track that just exploded back in the early 2000s. Or perhaps it's the defiant shout-along of Gives You Hell, or the tell-all honesty of Dirty Little Secret. But there's so much more to them than just those chart toppers. Theirs is a story of great creativity and a constant push to evolve their music. And they dealt with the craziness of sudden fame, while also trying to stay true to themselves, and they somehow kept reinventing their sound. So today we're going beyond Swing Swing to get to the highs, the lows, and the undeniable mark that the All-American Rejects left on music. Before we get started, be sure to hit the bell notification icon and put all notifications on. I hear from a lot of my subscribers that they don't even get notifications when I post my videos. I would greatly appreciate if you guys did that. So where did their story begin? Not under the glitzy lights of Los Angeles or New York City, but in a little town called Stillwater in Oklahoma, way back in 1999, whose population is about 50,000 people. That's where two high school buddies, Tyson Ritter, the voice and the guy with a knack for lyrics, and Nick Wheeler, guitarist and multi-instrumentalist. The pair first crossed paths in high school at a party where Ritter showed up and saw Wheeler's band was playing. The group needed a bass player, and even though Ritter didn't play an instrument, he offered to fill the slot. He learned the instrument shortly after that party, as his dad bought him a bass, a decision his father later came to regret, something we'll talk about in a bit. But their band soon fell apart after the other members chose to focus on their studies. But Ritter and Wheeler soon realized that they had musical chemistry, and they bonded over a shared love of music and a burning desire to create something that really spoke to what they were going through in their adolescence. They were 13 and 15 at the time of their first meeting, with Wheeler being the older of the two. The irony of the whole thing is that Ritter and Wheeler actually had the least musical input out of all the members in the band they were playing with. They soon fell into a pattern where Ritter created the melody first and then the lyrics, while Wheeler came up with the riffs and the rhythms. During the songwriting process, Wheeler said Ritter is, and I quote, the spark, while he himself has been the executor, adding, we complete each other creatively. Ritter took inspiration from his dad's record collection, groups like AC/DC, INXS, Styx, and Journey, while Wheeler looked to his sister, who had a record collection that included the likes of Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, as well as Poison. As for the scene in Stillwater, Wheeler remarked, it was good for us. There was no scene, no distractions. Stillwater is into sports. I hate sports, so I would stay in my room and play guitar. He also added that they were not the cool kids in high school, so they didn't really get invited to places on the weekends. Ritter, meanwhile, used to actually play football, but at the age of 15, he quit, telling his dad one day as they were driving around town that he wanted to become a musician as a career choice. But his dad was dumbfounded, and he even told his son it was a pipe dream. At the time, his dad and Ritter lived in a trailer they dubbed the bachelor pad. But his father soon moved into his second wife's home, while Ritter opted to stay behind. His dad sent his son $16 a month, and it was during this time Wheeler came over quite frequently, and the pair started to write songs. Ritter remarked about this time in his life, it was the best and worst time in my life. I had some great parties. Sunday nights were terrible. That was the one time my girlfriend couldn't come over and console me. I would never do that differently, because that's where those songs came from. Calling themselves the All-American Rejects, the band name itself is kind of a mini legend, supposedly a mashup of ideas like the Rejects and the All-Americans. As for what the name means, Wheeler told the Province newspaper, the name honestly means nothing. There might be something behind it. We're just poor white trash from Oklahoma, adding, we were just two losers, two kids who were not cool enough to hang out with people on the weekends. The pair soon started playing live shows at places like Mike's College Bar, and they would supplement those performances with a drum machine, and their crowd slowly started to grow. They eventually started playing shows in Tulsa, and they also started playing gigs at a place called Curly's. Because they were underage, they had to get their parents to actually sign permission slips. But their dreams, they stretched way past Oklahoma. They recorded a demo tape which soon turned into an EP, and while some Oklahoma stations started playing their music, they looked further, wanting national attention. In order to get a record deal, Wheeler took all of the CDs that he owned, and he wrote down the addresses of all of those record labels and shipped out their demos. Wheeler and Ritter soon caught the attention of Doghouse Records. It was an indie outfit from Ohio who signed them. It turned out an intern at the label came across their demo tape, before it ended up in the trash and brought it to the attention of the label head who signed the band. The label was particularly drawn to several of their songs, including Don't Leave Me and One More Sad Song.
Once, leave me twice, kiss goodbye and well, more sad song, tears shed, she's...
With the deal in hand, Wheeler decided to drop out of Oklahoma State University after just one semester. And it was a semester that he spent a lot of time in a nearby coffee shop, and instead of majoring in music, which he felt would have relegated him to being in the marching band, he opted to take classes that simply interested him, like music theory and ear training. Ritter, meanwhile, graduated high school a semester early, with the pair going to New York City to record their first real album. They packed up their songbooks and $1,000 in Christmas money and soon headed to Brooklyn. Working with producer Tim O'Hare, the pair crashed at the producer's place, sleeping on his floor, and they were a couple blocks from the recording studio. The record was made on a shoestring budget of about $20,000, with the band spending 3 months writing and recording the album. The collaboration with the producer helped sharpen their sound. Wheeler told the Columbian, "When we went in with the producer, he told Ty to sing a certain way, maybe put in a certain little guitar lick, put something in there that would accentuate the feeling coming from the lyrics." Wheeler added that he himself was not a lyrics guy and that he probably couldn't even tell you any of the lyrics to a Bon Jovi song, but he could hum a guitar solo. And it was the band's producer and their attorney who used their connections in the music industry to distribute the band's music to the major labels. Doghouse issued the group's debut record in October of 2002. But even prior to issuing the album, Doghouse was already in discussions with several major labels to distribute it on a national level. One of those labels was DreamWorks, who actually struck a deal with Doghouse to have broader distribution for the album starting in February of 2003. DreamWorks helped turn the band into top 40 hitmakers and MTV sensations. The two musicians did have to expand to a proper band for touring purposes. They enlisted guitarist Mike Kennedy and drummer Chris Gaylor, who they knew from the Oklahoma scene. While on the road to promote their major label debut, the band had gotten word that the video for their first single, Swing Swing, was going to be premiering on MTV at 2 in the morning. The problem was they were in San Jose, staying at a hotel that didn't carry the channel. They did, however, come across a karaoke bar that doubled as a bowling alley that was open till 2 in the morning. They managed to convince the owner to stay open for an extra hour, and a bribe of $150 also helped. The band was able to watch the premiere of their video on 29 different TVs throughout the bowling alley, including the scoreboards.
Swing, swing from the tabletop, my heart.
Announcing their arrival, the All-American Rejects debut record was packed with youthful energy, stories of love and longing, and tunes you just couldn't forget. The first single, Swing Swing, really blew things up for the group. The song was like the perfect storm, angsty lyrics and a chorus you couldn't get out of your head. It really connected with a generation figuring out the messy parts of being young. Swing Swing became a massive hit, climbing the charts and taking over the airwaves, with it peaking at number 60 on the Hot 100 chart and an impressive number 8 on the Modern Rock Tracks chart in the States. And it wasn't just an American thing. The track made waves in the UK too, reaching number 13. MTV deemed the video to be buzzworthy, while MTV2 put it in its so-called blowtorch rotation. The music video helped cement their image as these cool, relatable guys next door who just happen to be rock stars. Their debut disc ended up going gold by April of 2003, and they were soon featured in the Alternative Press, Rolling Stone magazine, and Guitar World. The album itself did quite well, peaking at number 25 on the Billboard 200 chart and eventually going platinum, which showed just how many people were into it. It was while promoting their first album, the band was frequently compared to groups like Jimmy Eat World and Blink-182, and even sometimes labeled as punk and emo. The emo title particularly, though, angered the group, with Wheeler telling an interviewer, "That's what's popular now, so they were going to call us that. If we were going to do this 5 years ago, they would have called us pop punk. If we were going to do this in the early 90s, they would have called us college rock. So you can't get away from that." The band, as they saw it, were pop rock, with them joking that they'd like to be considered the new southern rock sound. While Swing Swing was the undeniable star of the album, they also had several other notable tracks, including the single The Last Song, which was Ritter's favorite track off the record, which peaked at number 29 on the alternative airplay chart. If their first album was a confident knock on the door of mainstream success, their second one, Move Along, which came out in 2005, was the All-American Rejects kicking that door wide open and strutting in like they own the joint. The album wasn't just a step up, it was a massive leap that cemented their place as genuine stars in the pop rock universe. On Move Along, the band polished their sound, dishing out an even slicker and more commercially powerful set of songs, even adding a choir and classical guitar. But they kept that emotional honesty that fans loved so much from the start. The band spent 6 months searching for a producer for their follow-up, enlisting Howard Benson, who had worked with My Chemical Romance. The band was holed up in a rehearsal space in Destin, Florida, also known as the Redneck Riviera, for 2 months, spending 12 hours a day coming up with the songs that made its way onto their second album. Upon completing the songs, though, they sent it to Interscope, who at the time had acquired their label DreamWorks, and the response they got back was, keep writing. Ritter remembered what his father had told him about music being a pipe dream, and soon enough he came up with the song Dirty Little Secret. Ritter remarked about their second album, "This is a big rock record. If the last record was in the space of a Folgers can, this would be in the space of a gymnasium." Their second record peaked at number 8 on the Billboard 200 chart and eventually went double platinum, and then get this, triple platinum just last year. Just shows how much staying power it has. But the real proof of Move Along's impact was in its string of hit singles, each one becoming an anthem. First up, Dirty Little Secret. With that instantly recognizable guitar riff and its tell-all lyrics, the song was pure gold for radio and music television. It climbed to number 9 on the Hot 100 and number 18 in the UK. The music video, which cleverly featured anonymous people sharing their actual secrets on postcards, was a huge deal, even winning the MTV Video Music Award for Best Rock Video. It wasn't just a song, it was a conversation starter, something millions of people connected with. The band found inspiration for the music video from the website postsecret.com, an online community art project that gave the band permission to use some of the postcards submitted to their website in exchange for the group donating $2,000 to the National Hopeline Network. The band solicited secrets also through their own website and received more than 160,000 responses in just 2 months. But the band eventually decided to pull the plug, as some of the secrets were just downright bizarre. They noted how one person told them, "I don't smoke on cruise ships anymore," and they included a picture of a cruise ship on fire. Then came the album's title track, a powerful anthem about resilience and pushing through. The song really hit home for listeners facing their own battles. Its message of hope and grit, plus that soaring chorus, made it another huge hit, reaching number 15 in the States and number 42 in the UK. It became a go-to for inspirational sports montages and a comfort song for so many. The hat trick of hits was rounded out by It Ends Tonight, a ballad that showed off a softer, more vulnerable side of the band. The track did incredibly well, climbing to number 8 on the Hot 100 chart. The Move Along era was a total whirlwind of success. The band toured like crazy, they played to bigger and bigger crowds, and their live shows became legendary for their energy and how they connected with the audience. The themes explored on their second record included heartbreak, resilience, the messy journey of simply growing up, something that was universal to a lot of people. They weren't just a band with a couple of hits, they were becoming the soundtrack to a generation of teens and people in their early 20s, earning them a spot in the 2000s pop rock history. After the massive success of Move Along, you can bet the pressure was on the All-American Rejects to come up with something just as big. Their third studio album, When the World Comes Down, dropped in 2008, and it showed the band tackling that challenge with a collection of songs, while maybe not matching the same trifecta of mega hits as the last one, still brought serious commercial success and showed them maturing in their sound and themes. The album peaked at number 15 on the Billboard 200 and later went platinum. They also got the chance of a lifetime when they opened for Bon Jovi on the road. The absolute monster track from the album was the song Gives You Hell. Its incredibly catchy, almost taunting chorus mixed with a boatload of swagger made it an instant earworm and a global sensation. Gives You Hell became the band's biggest commercial hit of their career, peaking at number 4 on the Hot 100 chart and number 18 in the UK. The song, believe it or not, ended up going 9 times platinum in the States. Just this year, it gained a massive resurgence thanks to TikTok and YouTube. The group's third album saw them dig into slightly darker and more introspective themes at times, reflecting on their own growth and experiences. This era really cemented them as one of the major rock bands of the late 2000s. The All-American Rejects were gearing up to release their 4th studio album, Kids in the Street, in March of 2012. But the music scene was shifting again, and the band members themselves were in new phases of their lives and careers. The album, which hit number 18 on the Billboard 200 in the US and number 34 in the UK, showed another step in their sound and evolution. It got more into the mature stuff, exploring topics like addiction. The new album was a result of Ritter's struggle to find himself after touring nonstop right out of high school. Wheeler told the LA Times, "We both moved to LA. He just turned 25, so he was kind of going through his quarter-life crisis. After resorting to liquor, Ritter decided that he needed to shake up his life. Wheeler suggested they pull themselves together and write it out. While Kids in the Street was a solid album that critics liked and showed artistic growth, it didn't quite have the same massive commercial success as the group's previous efforts. The singles like Beekeeper's Daughter and the title track got some attention, but that era of consistently landing in the top 10 pop hits seemed to be fading for the group. So after the touring cycle for Kids in the Street, the All-American Rejects decided it was time for a breather, leading to an unofficial hiatus that started around 2013. Ritter started getting into acting, popping up in various movies and TV shows, while the other members pursued different musical projects. In 2017, they dropped the single Sweat along with a 2-song EP. These tracks hinted at a slightly different sound, bringing in more modern production touches while still keeping that core melodic thing that the band had been known for. Their next notable release was the Send Her to Heaven EP in 2019, which came out on their new label Epitaph Records. Just moving to a well-known independent punk label like Epitaph was a statement in itself, maybe signaling a desire for more creative freedom or a return to a slightly grittier vibe. They soon issued a cover of Harvey Danger's Flagpole Sitta in September of 2024, showing off their diverse influences and their willingness to play around with different styles. More recently, the All-American Rejects have been making headlines for some pretty unconventional ways they're engaging with their fans. 2025, the band kicked off the House Party Tour, playing spontaneous free shows in backyards, as well as frat houses and even bowling alleys, with just a suggested $5 donation. This whole thing, partly funded by the band themselves, was about creating a more intimate, accessible concert vibe, kind of pushing back against the sky-high ticket prices and corporate control in the music business that we've all become used to. Now, it wasn't without issues, as the police were called in at one show. Then, shaking up things even more, frontman Tyson Ritter announced just this month that he was launching an OnlyFans account. Ritter described it as a way to offer, and I quote, full frontal rock and roll with all of the access. Overall, the All-American Rejects have sold over 12 million albums worldwide. Their steady presence on the charts throughout the 2000s got them recognized at number 73 on Billboard's Hot 100 Artists of the Decade. These numbers really highlight the band's major commercial success and their knack for connecting with a huge audience over a long period of time. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.